Hey, what's up, everybody? BDF44 coming at you with another video. All right, so I've been philosophizing and doing all kinds of talking about non-basketball stuff. Kind of can get back to some basketball because I saw a Laker Nation YouTube post that was referencing THT for Gary Trent Jr. And what I really took from that was an understanding about THT's contract and what it will ultimately represent for the team that acquires it. Now, in understanding that, um, it becomes a situation where now I just want to further the conversation to say, okay, is it worth the risk for THT to be paid at $11 million next year for us as an expiring contract? Do we, like Russell Westbrook, bring him back in a circumstance like that to which we can trade him to a team that may believe in him or even see him the same way they see Russell Westbrook's contract, which is really something I don't expect because he's a young player that can help you in any situation that he ultimately goes to, especially if they're a rebuilding team. So, but the thing about it is he's a bit overpaid, and since he didn't look his best last year, even though I can argue the last couple games of the season, I would say pay attention to how he looked in the final 2 weeks of the season because he had some really, really good showings. But all in all, you have to ask yourself if you expect him to be worth $11 million. And, if you do, you also understand that he could opt out and walk at the end of the year, as to which you will have to try to negotiate something with Clutch, who his representation was last I checked. So, that's a thing that I think it'll make it a little difficult for teams to want to trade for him just as a flyer. Because he's not necessarily someone you expect to be able to help you right now if you're like a contender. So it's not like you're bringing him in for that necessarily. Although, to be completely honest with you, he's won a championship. I know a lot of people don't realize that, but he was part of that 2020 team. But all in all, it's a situation where you expect him to be somebody who's going to come in, be a ball handler, not necessarily a consistent shooter, but has some good mechanics that are going to be work withable, if that's a way to put it. And he can turn into an all-star someday if fully developed properly. So there's teams out there that should be interested in him. Some of them may be interested, some may not be, but they should be. But maybe not at $11 million based on what they just saw. So if the Lakers are going to try to trade him, you have to understand that we're on the hook for that as well. And we're on the hook for a Russell Westbrook potentially if we can't get rid of it. Obviously, we have our max contracts as well with our stars. So if you're trying to build a team that you can win the championship, you understand that you're probably at best going to have to get the most out of those superstars to even really make the playoffs, let alone win something. So you want to give them as much depth as possible. We've learned a lot from these playoffs. So if you're building your team, if you really want to give yourself a legitimate shot, there's certain things that you just have to do going into this season. And the Lakers are going to have to find a way to make those things happen in a short amount of time. So maybe they think it's okay to take the risk with THT. We have his bird right. He is somebody who's a part of what we do. We do have a new coach that may have a different plan for him. There's a lot of things to think positively about THT. If we keep him in house, maybe he does have a great year. We're happy that he's paid at $11 million. He can have a big jump next season. That's not outside of things that could be possible, especially if we give him the right role. So, there's a lot of things to like. But at the end of the day, since we're so limited, we could really use those $11 million and get certain types of pieces that we really like. So I like the idea of acquiring Gary Trent if that's absolutely possible. Doesn't seem realistic to me necessarily, to be honest with you. I understand that Toronto may be interested in THT, but giving up Gary Trent to get him is not something I would be willing to do. And since that's Masai Ujiri up there, that's not happening. But I hope it does. I would love to be wrong about that. I know that they just signed Gary Trent to a pretty hefty contract. If I'm Toronto, I'm very happy with him. It's not like I want to get rid of him, but maybe they have different plans for themselves. So whatever the case may be, he's obviously a perfect fit for Bron. He's an excellent defensive player that steals the ball like crazy. He shoots the three like crazy. He could score 30 points a game. I mean, this is somebody I think is going to be an all-star someday, and could really contribute because of his size to serious defensive situations. You talk about that Boston club. If you add him to that Boston team right now for Game 6 and Game 7, they're going to win. Like, that's not even a conversation. He is the piece missing. So, if anything, I'm thinking other teams are probably going to make bigger pushes for him if he happens to be on the block based on that understanding alone. You put him in Miami right now, he fits right in. You know what I'm saying? So there should be other teams that have more that should make a push for him. THT should not, absolutely not get it done if you're Masai Ujiri. So I don't think that's realistic for us. But if we can swing it, that's something I wouldn't hesitate at all. I wouldn't hesitate. I like THT a lot, but Gary Trent is a fantastic prospect, and he fits better. He fits better in any situation, to be completely honest with you. So it just is what it is. It's not happening, but all in all, with THT being a part of what we do, I think we can give him a really good role, and I still think his upside is crazy. I think THT's upside is insane. It's just a matter of how you use him now until he becomes who he is going to become, and how long you have to wait on him. This could take some time, like real time. He doesn't look like one of those guys that make big jumps from year to year. He looks like a guy that continues to work and work and work and work, and some of that is our fault as the Lakers not putting him in positions to be himself, which is why it's probably best for him to move on from here and be in a situation where there's no LeBron James, so he can kind of do the things LeBron does. Control the ball, try to be a triple-double threat, because I think that's actually his game. So, yeah. Try to move him, get that $11 million turning into about 2 or 3 players. I think that's a smart way to go. Depth is key because we're dealing with injury players. We already know what it is, so we just need to try to get as much pieces that fit, as much size that shoots, glue guys that can help facilitate. Don't let LeBron be the only facilitator, and just build as best we can. I really want us to free up that cap space. You figure $47 million, add $11 million, $58 million can get us a whole lot if we can free it up, man. I'm telling you. I am telling you all, if we can get rid of that Russell Westbrook contract and somehow free up that cap space right now, you get rid of THT and you free up that cap space, there's nothing really keeping us from being able to build a very good team. Then it's just about the decisions you make and being able to negotiate properly. There's always a way. There's a lot of talent out there. You can put together something that you're happy with if you have the space to do it. And so that's what it's all about. It's freeing up that space for Rob Pelinka to have that flexibility. So that's why this Russell Westbrook conversation about bringing him back is crazy to me. It's absolutely insane. If they have no intention of trading him. Now, obviously, if they intend on trading him, as we've discussed a million times, and they're using it, this information that they're going to hold on to him or all that show as a means of keeping their leverage, makes all the sense in the world. But if they're actually thinking about bringing him back for real, then we have really big problems. But judging by what I'm seeing going on with the Lakers, I don't think their minds are in the clouds somewhere. I think Russell Westbrook would likely be on another team if they have something to say about it, and that's the key to it. If they can pull it off. So yeah, that's up in the air. That is up in the air. We'll see. In the meantime, freeing up THT's $11 million can go a long way in helping us keep Malik Monk as well, which is something that I would advise them to try to do. I like what I saw from Malik Monk in terms of intangibles that can translate to him getting even better from here. He facilitated pretty well in terms of making passes here and there when asked to. He was a very, very consistent shooter, as we've discussed many times. And he drives at the basket at will and can really put a lot of pressure on the rim, as we like as well. And then held his own defensively. We know he doesn't have long arms and things like that, but he has active hands and active feet, and he can improve a great deal defensively. But his best defense is his shooting ability. He's a scoring punch kind of guy, and he's reliable. And that's what I really like about Malik Monk. So I do not think we should be letting him go for any reason at all. If we can afford to pay him, and it makes sense to do so, I don't think we're going to find many better knockdown, consistent scoring punches more reliable than Malik Monk. And I'm telling you, I've watched basketball my whole life. We've had a lot of designated scorers that shoot the ball for our team. He's one of the best I've ever seen at that. For us, for the Lakers, in my life of watching the Lakers, Malik Monk is literally one of the most reliable knockdown shooters we've ever had. And I'm not exaggerating at all. He's just reliable as hell, man. You can count on him. He's going to hit the shot. And so because he's that gifted shooting, he's worth the price that he's going to probably have on him. Like, he's that talented naturally. So as we can see the jump that he's made, I would prioritize him if I'm the Lakers. Or try to make sure that I get a sign and trade for him to represent what it is that he provides. if possible. I don't know that it is. So that's what I got to say, man. God, I don't want to let go of Malik Monk. THT, I think it's probably best for him to get out of the situation. I do. I just don't think he and LeBron James fit. I know Bron loves him. I know he do. That's his guy. But he does what Bron does. He's a ball handler, man. He is a guy who's best with the ball in his hands. And then he can create for others, drive at the basket, do his moves, work on his step back. Because he's actually not bad shooting the ball off the dribble, creating for himself. He has mechanics of that nature. He just needs to cultivate them. So that's what I want to say about that. I saw Anthony Davis he took a picture with a lethal shooter. That's a big deal. Big deal. We want our guys to be close to shooting coaches, man. Obviously Anthony Davis's issues shooting the ball are. We've talked about his jump shot having, been under 20%. I don't think that this is necessarily a situation where he needs to learn how to shoot or some craziness, but being in there with lethal shooter goes a long way in helping people forget about the fact that he hadn't touched a ball since April 5th. That goes a long way. So I like seeing that. And hopefully he puts in the work with the man and gets himself back to a position of shooting confidently. That's what it's all about for Anthony Davis. We've seen him hit those same shots he's missed last year. We've seen him hit those shots for 9 straight years. So it's not like he's just, I don't think he's completely lost his game. I just think he needs to retool. Hopefully he got the time away from the game. Hopefully it was good for him because every mind needs something different. And hopefully he can get back locked in, Because, look, I don't give a damn. I'm going to tell you the truth. I don't give a damn if the Lakers build a championship caliber team or not. The further we get into the offseason, the more I feel this way. I'm telling you the truth. It's not that I think it's realistic that we can be a championship team, because I don't believe it's realistic. I don't want those superstars to be realistic at all. I don't want them thinking realistically because they're not real players. They're, and I say this respectfully, basketball gods, right? Anthony Davis, before he started getting championships, before he won his first championship, he was a basketball god. He wasn't normal. We looked at him like Giannis. We looked at him like we look at Bron. We look at him like we look at one of those great players. It's when he got here, he's kind of just faded a little bit with injuries and stuff like that. He needs to get back to believing who he is. This is somebody who can go for 60 points. 60 points and 20 rebounds, same damn game. I promise you he can do it. He can do this. Block shots way better. Like, we talk about the numbers that Joel Embiid is putting up. There's no reason Anthony Davis can't put those numbers up. He has the same talent. Maybe not the same strength, but he ain't too far away from him. He ain't. Neither one of them are too far away from one another. Let's just be real. I look at Nikola Jokic. Respectfully, I think Nikola Jokic is amazing. But when he runs into Anthony Davis, he has problems. That's the one guy in the league that he can't overcome. AD has his number. Or at least he has had it for a long time. I don't know what it will be going forward. But what I'm telling you is this. Anthony Davis needs to redefine who he is as a basketball god. Straight up. That's all it is to it. It ain't even about nothing else other than I can do things that nobody else can do. Watch me. Because he is one of the best two-way players of all time. I'm not talking about what he's accomplished. I'm talking about what he can do. Because there's two different conversations. We talk about what people have accomplished. It's like they did that. They extended themselves to meet their expectations. They reached their potential and all that. I'm talking about what he can do. What he's capable of. Man, the Lakers have yet to see it. We ain't seen it. You look at his highlights, and I've said this a million times. I'm a broken record. I know it. Look at his highlights from New Orleans and tell me that we've seen any inclination of that player in purple and gold. I'm not saying he's lost his confidence. I'm just saying that he's not that guy right now, and he can be that guy again because that's who he actually is. Whoever he's become here ain't Anthony Davis. And I am very, very concerned that we're going to trade him to Chicago and he's going to get right back to who he was. I'm going to be pissed off at it because I'm going to feel like he cheated us out of who he actually is. So I want to see him. We're not going to trade him this offseason. I know that. He can't control his health. If he twists an ankle, busts a knee, I'm not going to be judging him on that, as I never did. But when he's healthy, I'm going to be looking for him to do two things. Being aggressive, relentlessly aggressive, like he used to be in New Orleans, meaning he's trying to score on every play, mostly on the inside, dunking on people's heads, and trying to be aggressive, which means he's going to have to get stronger. And I want to see him continue to be the monster defensively that can affect things in a way that makes it impossible. You look at what Robert Williams is doing in Boston. Anthony Davis can do that. Every bit of it, he can do it. He just needs to be in the condition and to allow himself to be that. He needs to get into a shape once again so that he can move as fast as he used to be able to move. And that ain't a regression of the body. That comes from practicing eating good habits, taking care of yourself. That's not something. He's not too old to move quick enough. I'm not buying that. I didn't hear of any degenerative knee issues like Kawhi or nothing like Bynum. No. There's nothing wrong with Anthony Davis, to my knowledge, that should keep him from being able to get in shape from here. He just needs to do it, as we discussed a million times. And so that's where I want to see him go from here. It's not just about the shooting coach necessarily. It's about finding that confidence. Not even confidence. That I'm a basketball guy. Do you understand what I'm saying? He needs to just remember who the hell he is. Respectfully. That is all I want Anthony Davis to do, is just remember who you actually are. Stop being a lesser version of Anthony Davis in LA. Stop that. Give us that Anthony Davis, man. Give us that Anthony Davis. All that confidence you showed us in the club when you was dancing, that's the same confidence I want to see you doing on the basketball floor when it's time to do what it is you do, man. That's all I'm saying. I want the real thing. So that's what I'm hoping to see, man. Hopefully Darvin Ham can light a fire under this man, get him loving basketball the way he needs to, get LeBron James to once again be healthy as well. We know the King gonna be working out. We know the King already studying the game. We know that. And I am optimistically excited about what I'm gonna see from these two stars the closer we get to the offseason. I am. I think LeBron James trying to fire Anthony Davis up as well. You know what I mean? With his post, I think it was an Instagram post where he said something like, "I'm obsessed with this." Yeah, you need to be too, Anthony Davis. That's exactly what he's saying. That's Bron's way of saying, get with it, bro. Get freaking with it. Just like I've been saying. So it's time. I don't care if you run with a bunch of guys that look like me next year. Them superstars should be two of the best players in the league next season, coming into the season healthy, man. I don't think they should be shooting for anything less than being MVP candidates. Both of them. You know what I mean? Both of them. Ain't gonna be no excuse of a bad fit because we're not about to build one. Right? Let's just keep it real. The Lakers are not about to build a team that shouldn't fit around those guys. Even if everybody's lesser to a degree, the fit should make sense if we've learned anything from the mistakes that we made. Let the fits make sense. That's why I like the Gary Trent idea, because he is exactly the type of piece that we would need to fit what we are going to build. No matter what we're going to build, you're going to need a defensive guy that can shoot threes and steal the ball. So that's a lovely thing. I just hope, as I've said, that we can free up that cap space, get rid of that contract with Russell Westbrook so that our fit can be better. It's fit, man. If you're going to have less talent, make sure the pieces fit perfectly. That would be my request as a Laker fan. Even if we're working with scrubs, let them be the prototypes that make basketball make sense for LeBron James, Anthony Davis. That's what needs to happen. So I'll leave you all with that. I guess I'll call this a Laker rant. I don't know. Just wanted to turn on the camera, keep talking. And that's what I did. BDL44. Thank you all for watching.